Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching another episode of Conversation. And today's conversation is going to be about acoustic, uh, autistic creativity. And for this topic, Tony Manton has joined me to have a conversation about this specific topic, because of his experience and what he involved in. Hi, Tony.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself first?
Yeah, sure. Well, I'm here in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been here for 30 years. I do record production, development, manage different artists, work with them to get them where they want to be or headed in the right direction, so they can get on radio and tour. And I've worked with some stars that people might know: Donnie Most of Happy Days, Glenn Campbell's daughter Debbie, Jackie Wilson's son Bobby. A whole host of people. And I've been here, like I said, for 30 years, just doing this and working in music and just living it good.
Mm-hmm. How do you got involved with autistic people and promoting and like awareness and all that part?
Well, it happened. It happened here a couple of years ago, right after the pandemic, right when the pandemic started. I had been thinking about working on a CD for myself, just to have some fun, give to my kids, grandkids, friends, family, whoever wanted it. It wasn't to make any money or go back out on the road like I used to do. This was just pure enjoyment. So I started working on that, and then this song came to me called "Why Not Me." And it was about never giving up on your dreams, just keep working, which is something that I promote on my social media all the time. Just never give up, just keep doing it. It doesn't matter when it happens; it only matters that it happens. So I recorded the song, and then my promoters in New York, Nashville, L.A., London really liked it and said I needed to put it out. And I said, it doesn't make sense, because I'm not trying to be a star again. I'm not trying to do anything like that. It's just for fun. So I did it, and then that particular version, which had a steel in it, so it had a little bit of a countryish feeling to it. We released that to radio. I did a video, and I decided to support our first responders. And that went off really well, and it went about, I don't know, 5 or 6 months. And after the promotion was done, I kind of thought that would be pretty much it. It was I'd done my thing. And then a couple of months later, this lady calls me up and says, "I really like what you did with the first responders. Could you do that for us?" And she's a speech therapist for autistic children. So I had to really, think how I was going to do that and what I would do, because I don't have anyone that's autistic in my family, and I'm aware of it, but because friends of mine have, but I really didn't know that much about it, and I didn't know if I could do that good a job for them. So I met with them and talked with them and decided that we'd do it. So I re-recorded the song in a more adult contemporary pop version, and then I did a video. And the people that joined me in that video are all autistic from the Nashville area. Okay. So that just took off, and from there I've been getting people that want to talk to me and be part of it from all around the world. So I've decided to bring more awareness, acceptance. But the one key word that I'm trying to build into it is understanding, because I think that if we as people can understand it more, then it might break down some barriers and just make things a little bit easier for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Where is that video? Is that video available on YouTube as well?
Yes, they can go to YouTube, Tony Mantor, and they can see, they can see my original version, which is the one that supports the first responders, and then they can also see "Why Not Me Nashville." I renamed it so that they can see what I'm doing for the autistic community.
Okay. Is there a link on your website for that as well?
Yes, they can go to tonymantor.com, and
Okay,
all
so
the
you-
links,
yeah.
all the links are there to pretty much everything that I've done. So if they want to see what I'm doing, what I've done, some of the interviews I've done, the podcasts I've been on, they can pretty much see everything.
Mhm. Well, when we talk about autistic creativity, you met like how many? You met a lot of autistic people doing your video.
Yeah, and since I've done my video, I've met just a lot more people, and people. The sad part about the word autism is that people that don't understand it, they they when they hear the word autism, they think of the worst case scenario, and that's not always true.
Yeah, I
Now,
I've noticed that too.
yeah, now the one thing that we do have to understand, autism has many different levels. I mean,
Yeah, it
you
has
know,
spectrums.
yes, exactly. So you do have some people that need help on a daily basis, but then you've got others, like you can see in my video, that are learning the work. We're learning to work and transition into the workforce. And then I've got a guitar player in there that's doing a good job. And then since the video, I've met just so many people in the autistic world that are just so creative. And you think creative, you think music, or you think
For me, when I think of creative, I think of art. So I've
yes,
seen a lot of like
yes,
artistic, like autistic people who do art, and that was actually when you brought up this topic. I was interested about like how is autistic people how they relate to music.
yeah. Well, my first episode, which is going to be out. Well, I've created a podcast called "Why Not Me, the World," and I'm
Mhm.
going to be interviewing and talking with people that are autistic, or deal with the autistic, or help the autistic from all around the world. And my first episode that I'm going to have, which will be June 28th,
Mhm.
um, it has a lady from London she's an artist and a poet,
Oh,
and she is just, when people hear this interview and listen to her and tell her story, it's really, really good. So it's going to be something, I think, that people don't expect, because again, when we hear the word autistic, some people think of the worst. When they hear this interview with her, I think they're going to be quite surprised, and they're going to see how people can get around in this world. And I'm hoping that it's going to take and help a lot of people, because they can hear what she's gone through and say, I kind of went through that. So if she did it, I can do it. And that's kind of that's kind of the whole thing on Why Not Me? It's like I tell people, if you
oh,
see somebody doing something that you want to do, just step back and say, hey, if they can do it, why not me? So this kind of all fits together really, really good.
yeah. Now I'm starting to understand more about like behind the meaning behind the word "Why not me?" Like
Yeah,
you were saying, like if somebody else can do it, like pretty much I can do it. I can try at least as well and do same or a little bit different or maybe even better on some things.
exactly.
So that's why I'm thinking like people should not put autistic uh, diagnosis on like limits on it, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah, exactly.
because
Because
they have the um, they said that they're autistic. It doesn't mean that they're limited to doing nothing.
right, right, exactly. I mean, in this podcast, just like in the video, and I'm actually going to do a Why Not Me the World video, where I'm going to have autistic people from all over the world in the video later this summer. But the one thing that I'm hoping that people will get from my podcasts and from my videos that I'm doing, and is that I'm going to be talking with people from all over the world with uh, varying levels of autism. So I'm going to have like in my opening statement on my podcast, it says real people telling real stories. So there's going to be, and then it says some will make you laugh, some will make you cry. So I'm going to have some people on this podcast. It's going to be a very sad story. When people hear it, it's going to be they're going to listen to it and they're going to say, wow, that's, they're going to hopefully feel some empathy for that person. But then I'm going to have the total opposite, just like I have on my first episode, a very high functioning autistic person that is very good and does a lot of things and is out there in the world. So it's going to be varying levels.
Mm-hmm. And you said one of them were guitar player.
Yeah, I've got a guitar player that's in my video on the Why Not Me Nashville. I'm going to be here in another couple of weeks. I'm going to be talking with an autistic music producer. He's in his early 20s and starting to get into music and doing some things. I'm talking with just a varying amount of people that do so many different things, and I think it's gonna show the world that if you hear that word autism, that it's not a bad word, and it doesn't mean that it's a death sentence. It just means that they have to function a little bit differently than we do. Yeah. And that's not, I mean, everybody functions a little bit different.
Exactly.
And that's what we have to understand, I think.
Yeah, I think the way I see as well, like the autistic spectrum, like the one they're just like really low spectrum, they function completely like everybody else, kind of. They just have different sensors. They sense things more. They like highly like, how would you say it?
Well, they process things differently than we do, but that's not bad. I mean, I've got friends of mine that process things differently, and I look at them and scratch my head and say, how did they come up with that? And they're not autistic. They're just, everybody's different, and I think that's a common line that we have to get out there to to the people that don't know anything about autism, and they don't, they think when they hear that word that it's got a stigma to it that they think. I think we just have to take and really make people more aware and understand that just because they're labeled with that word autism does not mean that they can't function, do things that we do. They just process things a little bit differently, but there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I choose their creativity, because a lot of them, they actually have really creative abilities, because they focus on one thing, like even art or music, and they can really focus and get really good on that creative outlet that they have. They actually love that.
Yeah, I interviewed a programmer. He manages a radio station in Northern England, and he has autistic DJs and people that he works with, and he's got some that actually go on the air. He's got some that don't want to go on the air, but they do the drawings for the website or different things. So I mean, it's just like anything else. When you go into a job that you're going to do, you've got different people that do different things, and this is the same thing with autistic people. You've got people that are really, really good with art. You've got people that are good with music. You've got people that are good, with just anything else that you can think of. I mean, we've got lawyers out there. We've got people that are that go out and speak around the country and around the world. So there's just so many people that do so many things that we just can't take and think that it restricts them.
Mm-hmm. And I think that makes me think like people who have autistic kids, they should look more into it. What is the autistic kid good at? And make them involved, like either like arts or music, or because to notice what is that kid good about, like what does she or he likes, so they would give them tools to advance in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking with some parents of autistic children, and I mean, that's pretty much the story that they tell, is that once they've been diagnosed as autistic, then they have to take and plan things out and figure things out, and it's a learning curve for both the child and the parents, and it's one of those things that once they figure it out and they learn what they can do, then they take and highlight that and just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting as well. So, but when you produce music and you're gonna like talk about the autistic people, do you have more? What age is the most of the people that you're involved with autistic?
Well, most of the people that I've been dealing with have been in their late teens, early 20s, but going all the way up to in their 40s. So um, I'm uh, very happy to say that I've met a lot of really good people here doing this, and I've just scratched the surface. I mean, I've been doing this for about a year now that I've been involved with it and making plans on doing the video. And I just released a video, I think like 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So um, and when I released that video, to be honest with everybody, I figured that this probably would be something that would happen kind of like what happened with my video for the first responders. It would have a shelf life, and it would probably last 5-6 months, and then that would come to an end, and I could sit back and know that I did something to help some people. But as it's turned out, it's just so many people have called me or emailed me or contacted me on my social media or whatever, supporting me and what can I do to help, and it's really just grown and grown and grown to the point of where I'm dealing with now with when I first started it, I was kind of dealing with people here in the States, and now I'm dealing with people all over the world. I mean, I've talked with people in Europe. I've talked with people in the UK, Australia. I mean, all over. So it's really developed into something that I didn't anticipate. But my goal is that if I can help one person with any one thing that I'm doing, then the way I look at it is it's success.
I view everything in the same way. If I or somebody helps one person, that's already same way. It's success. You already done something good in your life and everything, but you help more is even better. And
Yeah.
usually that like after you help that first one, then it just escalates and you like get the feeling and you just help more and more and more. It gets into a snowball and those people you help, they're gonna help another people. So it's keep on going. Like by helping one person, you actually help a lot more than one.
Well, my goal is like when I released my first podcast, episode 1. I've got if everybody wants to check out my podcast, they can Google Tony Mantor's podcast, and all of them I've done will come up. But I did an introductory here about a couple of weeks ago, and just a response I got off the introductory, which I was just putting it up there so that I could get it on all the podcast platforms and just get recognized, so that when I release my episode 1, that at least I would have all of it to go to. And
Mhm.
the downloads and the listenership on just the episode that I put up to introduce what I'm going to do and what my plans are with it has done really, really well. And now when I release this first episode, I mean, I'm hoping that the story that she tells me, that somebody in New York or Boston or any place in the world will hear it. Hopefully what she says will inspire them to realize that, hey, I'm not, number one, I'm not alone in this world. And number two, if she can do it, so can I, and
Why
then
not
people
me?
can build.
It's exactly goes down to why not me?
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
So that's my goal.
Hmm. And I think like you were the way you were saying that you thought it's going to be only a couple months or something like this. I think this is something's going to be years.
Well, I'm in it. I'm in it for the long haul.
Yeah,
It's
because now it's different. Like before, it was like the TV and radio, and that's why those things lived just like short life.
right.
They were like popular, but now with like YouTube and everything, like everything stays for really long time. So years from now. Somebody can find your first episode years from now.
Right, right. Yeah, I had a friend of mine that told me he did a podcast like 5 years ago, and he goes every now and then he'll get somebody that'll send him a comment about it, and it's 5 years shelf life. So yeah, that's very true. This thing hopefully will grow and help people and expose to the world that autism is not the end of the world if they get diagnosed, that it's just a start like anything else. So we've just got to take and get more understanding, so that if somebody comes in contact with somebody that's autistic, they don't have to feel, oh, what do I say? Or I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to insult anybody. You kind of know how to handle it because at least you have a better understanding.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think that people should get like musicians and artists. They should actually get involved with autistic people, have them involved, and help them be creative and enjoy all this music or art, whatever they're gonna um, be able to offer.
Well, there's a lot of people that's getting involved. I mean,
Yeah.
it's um, I've talked with several different charities, and they've got a lot of people involved, everywhere from the NFL to the musicians. There's more and more people getting involved because now that we're getting a better understanding. Because if you go back 20 years, when if someone was diagnosed as autistic, they didn't know that much about it. I mean, the speech therapist that I was talking with, she was going through college, and she had 1 2-hour class in one semester through her whole college about autism.
Mhm.
So they didn't put much focus on autism. But now you fast forward till today, and you've got medicine, you've got doctors, you've got everybody that's getting involved to bring more awareness and to autism. So it's evolving, it's getting better. We still got a long ways to go with it, but because I've been involved with it for a little over a year now, and I've talked with different people. But you know, I got to be completely honest. I don't know that much about it. I mean, I talk with people, and every time I talk with somebody, I learn something new about it. So if people can listen to my podcast, and if they can get one thing out of each podcast that they didn't know that might help them in the future, then it's a win-win for everybody.
Hmm. That made me think of it as well, because when you start talking about autism and music, I don't have anybody in family either, but the same way I have friends, either they're autistic or their kids are, and I've seen a lot of art.
Yeah.
And that's why I learned something new. I was thinking like, okay, there are a lot of like out, autistic people, but I didn't even think of like also music is something. Probably there's a lot of autistic people in music as well.
Yeah, there
And
is.
probably
Yeah.
some other creative profession. I don't, probably things that don't come to my mind right now or yours. And like you said, that your first guest, she's a poet.
Yeah, and she's very good. I mean,
Mhm.
um, it's there are so many people out there at so many different levels and so many different things that they're doing, that and the great thing about it is like when I did my video, I told a couple of people that I think I'm going to do a video, and I think I'm going to put some autistic people in it to join me to bring more attention and more awareness. And the first thing that one of them said to me was, "How are you going to do that?" And I said, "What do you mean?" And they said, "Because autistic people look just like everybody else." I said, "That's the beauty of it." Because she was looking at my previous video, which had the police and the firemen and the EMTs and all that in it, and they had uniforms that, basically when you see that uniform, you know exactly what they are.
Mhm.
And she goes, with autistic people, they all look the same. I said, and that is the beauty of it. I'll put a statement on the very beginning part of the video that says this is for the autistic community in Nashville. But once that's said, you can go in, you can look at people, and some of them you can tell, they need help on a daily basis, and others you can see it transitioning. And the beauty of this whole thing is that people out there can be autistic, and other people won't even know it, because it's not something that you wear a label on your hat that says, hey, I'm autistic. You just go out in there and you be yourself, and you go around the world doing what you do. So I think that's the beauty of it, is that you can't tell from one person to another what they have or what they don't have. And if you can just learn to accept them for who they are, rather than worry about a label, I think it just makes the world a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That also makes me want to, I have not seen the video yet, so I'll have to, after we end the episode, I'm going to have to go and look at the video as well.
Yeah. It's and like I said, it shows. I didn't want to show just the best or just the worst, because the unfortunate part about certain media and different things is they tend to go on the end that's going to bring the most impact far as what they're looking for, and usually that's not the best. They show the worst, and that makes the biggest impact with people. So I think that in this video, I wanted to show people that, hey, there's people out there that need help on a daily basis, and those that do need that help, we need to be able to support them. But there are other people out there that can transition into the workforce, that can play guitar or be a teacher or whatever you want it to be, and you would never know. So let's just put those labels down and then just start accepting people for who they are. And then if you find out they're autistic, okay, no big deal, but you shouldn't think that it's a big deal just starting out.
Mm-hmm. And that's a part of it, is also understanding that the label doesn't limit your interaction with that person.
Exactly. I mean, it doesn't have to be autism. It can be cancer. It can be, it can be anything that you want to think out there. It could, a person could have any type of issue going on, but you don't want to think about that person with just that issue. You want to think about the person as a person, so I think that's where we have to take and educate, and that's part of the understanding. And that's why I'm hoping with my podcast that through talking with people that either work with autism or are autistic, or raising somebody that's autistic, or whatever their path may be in the autistic community, if one person listens to my podcast that knows nothing about autism at all, and hears the story, then maybe we'll just change the way that person perceives autism, and it might just change them so that they have a better way of working around people if they come in contact with somebody that is, and they don't look down on them, or they don't look, they don't make that first impression, makes that first thought, and it be negative. It can be just something that, oh, okay, I learned a little bit about autism. Now this is the first person that I've met, and they can just make a little bit better path so that everybody can get along and work together and just make it a little easier for everybody.
Mm-hmm. And that's the way that made me think of parents. They can get involved and get the kids in activities.
Yeah, there is so much out there now. I've met so many people that do so many different things, and there is so much out there. There's so much help, but the one thing that we do need, that I do know, is we need more awareness of it, more understanding of it, and then we also need a better way of making that transition so that they've got, like, I've talked with a lady here in Nashville that works on housing for them, and she's one of the few people in the country that actually does what she does, and she's got special needs and autistic people in the apartments, and they're living by themselves and getting along with each other, and but we need more of that. We need to be able to make it so that if somebody is autistic and they need some help, that the funding is there so that they can get that help. And I think that's another thing that down the road that we're going to have to touch on is funding for schools, for whatever it may be, so that that transition's a little bit easier for the people.
I think, yeah, this is what I've noticed as well lately. There's more word of transition for autistic people because more people have realized that some of them who are not such a strong case, they're able to live a normal life, and that transition part is really important to teach them
Yes.
how to live everyday life on their own.
Yeah, and then you kind of get in that word that you just used, normal. It's like, what's normal anymore?
Mhm.
I mean, everybody has their little idiosyncrasies that they do, and everybody's different from each other, and that's really what makes this world great. Is that we are all different. We have different cultures, we have different backgrounds, we have everything that's different, but we can find a way to get along. So I think that's a big thing is the world that we live in. We just have to make it so that normal is where everybody can support each other and help each other, rather than looking at, oh, well, this is normal and this isn't normal.
Mhm.
Let's take and get it to the point of where we don't label anything, and we just put people out there. And I mean, it's like the perfect example is young kids, 3, 4, 5 years old. They can you can put a group of kids together that are have from different backgrounds, and
Completely different.
they just get along.
Yeah.
That, will they fight over a toy or whatever? Sure they will. But the thing is they get along because they are young enough where they haven't have any preconception of what a person is.
Yeah, and they
So
don't have any labels. They
exactly.
don't go in and they don't start labeling people.
Exactly. They just go in and they just play with the
They
toys.
see like who plays the same thing, the same thing, and they start playing and
Exactly.
doing things together. They don't have any like, okay, who's doing what? Like they don't go like who has what profession, who has what things. They don't have any of those adult criterias.
Right, right. And that's what we have to do. We have to tear down those walls, and those walls, separate people, and the walls are labels. So if we can tear down those walls and those labels of what people think, and start opening their minds that maybe something isn't nearly what they thought it was, then maybe that can help everybody, in every circumstance, just find a way to get along and help each other out and support each other, and just make the world a little bit better place.
Hmm. I was just thinking, what would happen if you put a group of adults together and not to have them label anybody?
That would be pretty nice,
It
because,
would be interesting to see how they behave.
well, it's like if we walk into a room and we don't know anybody, and we see people, and we see different people, we have a tendency, and we're all guilty of this, of prejudging people.
Yeah.
And then we'll prejudge them. We'll have that opinion of them until we actually meet and talk with them. Then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, they're not anywhere near what I thought they were.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean those walls that we've built around ourselves in this community, which is the world, is walls of labels. So we just have to find a way of changing that. So it's like one person told me that you don't know what it feels like to have an autistic child in a store. Then all of a sudden they decide they're going to have a little tantrum,
Mhm.
and the people will look at them, and they kind of shrink into their little shell because they feel that everybody's kind of watching them. Well, that happens all the time with kids, so it's like, just because it's autistic, just because that person might be autistic, shouldn't change the way that we view it. We should just look and say, oh, well, okay, that kid's having a little bit of a rough time today, but don't prejudge, don't take and make pointers that the parent's doing a bad job because they're having a little rough time. Just accept and realize, or offer a little support. How can I help? There's so many things that we can do, and we don't even have a clue, sometimes. And I'm guilty of that too. It's like, before I started this, I had no clue exactly what autism is. I didn't know how they functioned. I mean, there were so many things that I did not know. And there's still a lot of things that I do not know, and probably will never learn, because I'm a novice at this. I'm still finding out. I'm still learning. But the difference is the one thing that I've gained is by talking with people that deal with them, either in teaching or charity work or parents. I'm learning how they thought. I'm learning how they think. I'm learning some of the things that they have to go through, and it's really, really opened my eyes. That okay, if I can do this, so can everybody else. They can find out and listen, and I think the biggest thing, is listen to others and what they're going through, and then kind of put yourself in their place. Okay, how would you want to have people look at you or treat you if you you was in that situation? So if you take and put yourself in their situation, then maybe you can take and treat them the way that you'd want to be treated. And again, you tear down those labels and those walls, and then all of a sudden people are getting along, and it's a much better place to live in.
That is true, because all those situations that autistic people go through, a lot of them are just the same situations that people who are not autistic have to go through.
Absolutely.
Like you were saying, that child who's having a tantrum and is autistic, there's a child who has a tantrum in the store is not autistic.
Right.
The same way, we should just like, I see it, and I've been in that situation. Not as bad, but still, like, we have to understand it's just like a situation where people need support.
Right, exactly.
And that's like, maybe first moment somebody has the feeling of judgment, but then stop and just like be supportive.
That's the key. That is the big key is, and I think how we can support them is by understanding them, and that's on anything. It's there are people out there that have so many different challenges around the world, and we don't know what they're going through, whether it be autism or anything. We don't know what they're going through. So if they're having a bad day, and they're a little bit rough on the edges or whatever, we can't prejudge them. We do. And we'll take and make our judgments on them, and then hopefully later on we'll learn that we were wrong, But the thing is the world is since social media and Zoom and all these different ways that people can interact, this world has become a smaller place. Before, stop and think about it. If you're living in wherever you're living in the United States, and you're thinking about somebody over in Spain, it's like, oh man, that's a long ways away. That's this, that's that. But now we can hop on Zoom and be talking with people all around the world, and I mean, because the world has become smaller, the world has and social media, the world has become more aware of so many things.
Yeah.
So if we can be aware of those things because of the internet and because of Zoom, because of Facebook, because of all the social media out there, if we can be aware of that, then maybe we can take and learn more so that we're less judgmental and we can help more and support more and just make the world a better place for everyone, autistic or not, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And what I was thinking of that, because of that way of being able to see everybody in the different countries,
Yeah.
just also the autistic people, I also thought about, like, I didn't think before social media we had so much awareness, because what I wanted to say, there it wasn't a thing that there were not so many, we just didn't know about it as much.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. In the last 20 years, science has evolved,
Hmm.
medicine has evolved. So many things have gotten better. I mean, we've still got a lot to learn on many things, but the more that we can get people out there working to help, working to support, and making life just a little bit better, because ultimately everybody in the world wants the same thing. I mean, they just want a safe environment. They want a home to stay in. They want a family. They want food on the table. They want to feel like they're safe. They want to be able to go out and do things, with their friends. I mean, the world, everybody in the world is the same. We're not different in what we want. We're just different in where we live and our thought process because of where we live. But that doesn't mean that we can't support people and help people on varying levels, no matter where we are and what we're doing. And if we would break it down to that simplicity of, let's just make it an easier life for everybody, give them what I want. Hopefully they can be as happy as I might be. And nobody's happy every day 100%. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But you want to have a fulfilled life, and you want to take and get out there and feel like you've contributed, and you want to feel like you've got friends. I mean, there's just so many things that people want, but we all want that. So why should we be judgmental and because someone's a little bit different, think that they may not deserve the same thing that we think we deserve?
Hmm. And that made me think of, like, autistic people as well. They might be not able to say it in the same way, like explain what they want. Like
Right.
you were just explaining the things that like most people and everybody wants. Autistic people, they might not be able to say that, but that doesn't mean that inside of themselves they don't have the same feelings. Inside they have the same feeling, wanting all those things. They might not just be able to verbalize it.
Yeah, I've talked with people that have family members that are nonverbal, but they can talk because of the iPad now.
Mhm.
So there are ways that can communicate. Communication can happen. You know, it's just that we think of communication as just talking all the time. And some people don't have that ability. So you find other ways around it so that you hopefully can find a way of communicating and at least making that life a little more satisfying. And if you're doing that, then you feel better about yourself too, and it just makes the world just a little bit better.
Mhm. And I think for like also people who do creative things, and either like music groups or art groups or writing groups, they should get autistic people involved. Like, get them in, try to find some in a community and get them in a group, and just let's see what happens.
Well, everything should be in. I mean, it's like um, everybody wants to be involved. Everybody wants to be included. We
Mhm.
just have to take and find ways to do that. And unfortunately, it's not going to be an overnight thing because
Mhm.
people have their stigmas on what they think something is. They've got they prejudged. So we have to break down those walls. We have to get better understanding, and we just have to keep putting it out there. And letting people know that just because someone's a little different doesn't mean you can't accept them. you know and and it's like um, the Autism Month is in April, and it's Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, and I actually created my slogan, which is Autism Awareness, Acceptance, and Understanding, because I was looking around and I saw all these autism awareness and acceptance slogans, and I got thinking, it's like, I'm aware of things, I mean, I'm aware of many things out there,
Mhm.
and I accept them because I'm aware that they're there. But just because I'm aware that they're there and I accept that they are there doesn't mean I understand why they're there. So I think that word understanding is so important in what we're trying to get out there. What I'm trying to get out there is because people can be aware of something and they can accept it, but they can't fully accept it till they understand it at some level. So even if they find and start understanding it, even at the smallest level, then at least at that point, they're getting some knowledge that they can take and use, and that will hopefully break those barriers down so that everybody can be a little bit more inclusive around the world.
Hmm. And maybe also involvement, like you were just saying, I never thought about it before you said it. Like, okay, we know about it, we're aware of it, but that's all. Like, there's somebody who's on the side, which they should not be on the side. They should be around with, as depends of their level, like with other people. Like, that's the
Right.
part of transition where they come and live with among us the same way everybody else, and we can use, they, a lot of them, they have talents and abilities that, like we say, we call them normal people, but they're what's normal, that
Right.
we not able to do. They able to do some of the things we're not able to do.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of it. I mean, because everybody's different in this world. Everybody has their strengths and everybody has their weaknesses. You know, so you just, instead of focusing on people's weaknesses, we need to focus on their strengths, because
Mhm.
because um I mean, I know that this person I was talking with, that works with several different autistic people, and he said and this was kind of interesting, because two autistic people kind of got in an argument with each other, and they were kind of talking back and forth, and he had to kind of get involved and ask him questions about what was going on, and and one of them said, well, you should get this, he's autistic, and I asked him, so I said, how'd you handle that? He goes, well, I handled it just like I would handle anybody else that wasn't autistic. It's like, I've got a brother and he and I are not the same. So why would you think that just because your friend is autistic, that he's going to be the same as you? And then that gave him a little bit more understanding of where he was and where his friend was. And he kind of felt a little bit bad that he got mad at him. So it's the same. Everybody has the same feelings. Everybody has the same things. It's just it's an understanding, of why. So here was two autistic people, and he didn't quite understand why the other one wasn't understanding what he was, because he thought that he was the same. And then I had another one that they had a 12-year-old autistic person, I think, and an 8-year-old that wasn't. And they had to explain to their 8-year-old why their 12-year-old brother acted a little bit differently than they did. So again, understanding, teaching, them learning that okay, my brother's a little bit different. So if we can do that within a family, and if we can do that within a workplace, then we can do that within the world. Just get people to understand a little bit more and be more accepting and be more tolerant, so that they're willing to listen. And when they listen, hopefully they hear and absorb those words, and then they start understanding a little bit better, so that they understand the differences.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's when the judging goes less as well. They will judge less when they understand better.
And that's exactly what we need, because we as a society, I mean, we're very judgmental. You know, I mean, we see something on TV, we hear something on the radio, we see something on Zoom. You know, wherever we see it or hear it, we will listen to it and or watch it, and then all of a sudden we're judging that person. Oh well, he or she shouldn't have done that, or what do they think they're doing? Or it's kind of like when I moved to Nashville, there was a bunch of people in my little town that I'm from that kind of thought, what the heck is he doing? You know, he's moving, 1,500 miles away from us, and he's thinking that he's going to do this because where I live, and they weren't being mean, they were just being real, because in where I was from, little 5,000, 5,000 people in my town, you know, just an old type town of everybody knows everybody, kind of like a Mayberry FD type thing, and they weren't thinking bad of me. They were just thinking, what's he doing? Because what I was coming to Nashville to do was not the accepted thing that you do in work in my little town. My little town had stores and mills and around that areas were, because malls. I mean, it was like every every place you'd go in any place in the United States, and that wasn't a normal thing. The normal thing was find a job, have a family, Monday through Friday, weekends off. But that was the norm. So I was going against the norm, and people were questioning it, not because they were being mean, just because they didn't understand what I was trying to do.
I was just waiting for it to get either I was thinking to bring up the word understand.
Right. So if that happens on my level of trying to, do what I want to do in music and do something that's not your normal thing that you do in my little town, that's where we have to get to with autism and all the other things out there that people don't understand. Find a way to understand what the person's doing, why they're trying to do it, or why they're doing it that way, and then stop. And then hopefully you won't judge. Because when I started having some success down here, then all of a sudden, everything I was doing when I went home and people would ask me questions about it, it become more accepted. Because it's like because I had a little success.
Because you did it, and then it's going to be, why not me?
Exactly. So that's what we need to do in the autistic world. We have to let them be themselves, teach them, what they need to do so they can transition into the world, and then hopefully people are going to be less judgmental and just be more tolerant of what the other person is going through and help them through it.
Mm-hmm. That is great. Well, we're getting closer to the end as well. It feels like 20 minutes, but it's been an hour.
No, that's great.
So, what are your closing thoughts on all this autistic world and autistic creativity? Because you're gonna meet, and I think that's the good thing about your podcast, because people are gonna meet so many different autistic people, so many different options, and they're gonna probably learn what they want to do and try to find a way to do it.
I'm hoping, I don't, it's like whenever you do something, this is something new for me, podcasting. I mean, I've done a lot of interviews all around the world with TV, radio, podcasts, all that. This is the first time that I've just made that transition into hosting my own show and talking with people and doing things. So when you do something like that, you never know what to expect. You don't know if it's going to be successful, if it's going to take and fail miserably. You just don't know. But my feeling is like I said earlier, if I can help one person just hear something that they didn't know, give them a little more understanding. No matter whether this podcast goes 1 or 101, episodes, it's just keep putting new people out there for as long as they want to be on the podcast. Get more active. I want people to be more active in it. If people want to be on my podcast and talk about it, I mean, this is about a forum for you. If you want to be on this and talk about your autism and how you grew up or how you transitioned or whatever, or you got a family member and how you dealt with them. I mean, this is a podcast for people. It's not a podcast other than that, because I've heard other podcasts out there that get into the scientific end of it, they get into the teaching end, they get into so many good topics about autism, but I haven't really heard anybody that just gets on there and tells their story. So I want people, to hear this and check me out, check out my podcast, listen to what my guests have to say, and then tell people, tell them about what I'm doing. And if you know somebody that's autistic that wants to come on and tell me their story, I just want to take, and I feel the more stories that we can get out there about how people are either living with autism as a person, or living with autism within their family, or living with autism because they're helping people, in a charity or teaching or whatever. If we can get more people on my podcast that just tell those stories, then hopefully the listeners are going to get a greater appreciation for what people go through and understand a little bit better, and then maybe willing to lend a helping hand, and make this world just a little bit better.
Mm-hmm. And the best way to them to try to get involved with, in touch with you would be probably email.
Yeah, they can go on to my website, tonymantor.com. I've got a newsletter they can sign up for that I send out once a month and say, hey, this is what's coming up, or this is what I've done. There's a contact in there so they can send me information if they want to take and refer somebody to me.
Yeah.
If they want to be on it themselves. I mean, I really want this to be an interactive situation of where people, there's no walls there. People can feel like they can reach out, talk to me, tell me. And that's the one great thing so far that I've had. I've had grandparents. I've had so many people, reaching out to me, and they'll say, oh, we really like what you're doing. And then they'll tell me that their grandson or granddaughter or son or daughter is autistic, and they'll send me pictures, and they'll send me, information about them. And it's just, everybody kind of wants to tell their story. They want people to know. And I really want people to be able to tell their story for two reasons. One is that people can help get more understanding, and two, to let those people, whether it be a parent, a sibling, or a person that's autistic, to let them know that they are not alone in this world. There's other people out there doing and living what they're going through. So if they can share that within this community, then maybe it'll just help somebody and make their day a little bit better, or make them think something a little bit differently, and their approach and acceptance hopefully will change.
Mm-hmm. That is a great goal. And well, we're gonna end up the show as well. So I'm gonna, after we end, I'm gonna look up the music video.
Good.
And watch the music video for sure. And your podcast gonna air, what you said, the first episode's gonna be on
June 28th. Right now, I'm planning for the first episode. And if they want to check it out, they can just go.
By the way, the year is 2023, just in case somebody will watch it from 5 years from now.
Yeah. And if they want to, the name of the podcast is Why Not Me, the World. So they can Google it, and it'll come up. And my introduction is already up there. So it's about 24, 25 minutes, something like that. They can listen to kind of what what I'm doing. I did an interview with a guy over in France that kind of went over what I've done here in Nashville, what I'm doing in Nashville, and my autistic campaign that I'm doing. So it kind of gives everybody an idea of what I'm hoping to do with this podcast. So yeah, I ask everybody to go check it out and share it and tell everybody about it, because the more people that hear it, the more people that get involved, the better off everybody can be.
Mm-hmm. That is true. And I'm gonna end with I end everything, all the different shows that I have the same question from the person. What is happiness in your words?
Well, I think happiness has several different levels, but first of all, you have to be happy with yourself in what you're doing, that you're satisfied with what your life is, and then if not, you keep evolving to the point of where you can get it where you want it to be. And then also, happiness is another part of happiness is helping others, because there's nothing more gratifying than when you know that you've done something that's helped somebody else, even if you didn't really see the result of what you did. You know that you helped, and there's just so many layers of happiness, but I think those are the two most important in my mind.
Mm-hmm. And another one is name just three really simple things in like daily life that make you happy.
Well, I I
Simple, simple.
I enjoy doing what I do in my music career, helping others. I enjoy family, of course. That having my kids and grandkids around. And just the ability to get up and interact with people and do these things. Is a happiness factor.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tony. It was like really good conversation, and I believe all the people got a lot of information out of it, and hopefully enjoyed the conversation as well. So thank you everybody for watching, and watch some other episodes that are coming up. So went for today. Thank you, Tony.
Yes,
Thank
thanks
you,
for having me.
everyone.